Hi, Bridget and Rana. Is everything going okay?
Yep, everything's all set up and we're all ready.
All right. Thank you so much.
Hi,
Hi,
Paul.
hi, Deborah.
Tom?
Another exciting evening.
Oh, let's hope not.
Well, Mr. Heavenridge is getting ready to get on an airplane, so I wondered, Paul, what time do you board?
Well, he may not be getting on a plane if it was canceled.
Oh, I'm sorry, was it canceled?
I have no idea. It's just what you read in the paper, a lot of cancellations, 2,100 cancellations on New Year's Day or something.
Well, let's think good thoughts. Let's get him back to this country.
Let's get him unmuted.
Hello, Rachel.
Hello there, Thomas, Dave, Deborah.
Hey,
It's kind of blustery up here. It would make it for a bumpy landing if he lands in this weather.
Okay.
Where is Tom? I missed that part.
he's right there.
Paul Heavenridge is
Oh, it's
is
Paul.
out of the country. I don't know. Deborah knows.
Yeah, he's he's flying home tonight.
From where?
Well, I'm not sure. He's on
Oh.
the call, so I
Okay. Hi, Paul.
I don't want to tell tales out of school.
I missed the beginning.
We're just probably going to move an item up from the middle of the agenda. So I wanted to get a sense from him when he was boarding. All right, my devices say 6 o'clock. So who are we waiting for? I don't believe Anne is here yet.
Here she is.
Yeah, I see him.
Oh, hi, Anne. Sorry. There you are. Sorry. Well, let me give 1 minute just to let people gather.
Just so you know, Chair Doyle, it looked like Commissioner Heavenridge was having audio difficulties. I think he may have logged off and is going to try and log back on.
Ah, okay. I disappear. Tom, be ready.
I'm ready.
Always. All right. Well, why don't I at least call us to order, and then if oh, there he is. Okay, he's joining us now. All right, I will call to order, and I will call the roll. Pursuant to California Code Section 54953, all votes during this teleconference meeting shall be taken by roll call. David Cahill,
Here.
Andy Elkin,
Here.
Fred Engbarth,
Here.
Reese Foxen,
Here.
Paul Heavenridge. I know he's there. Tom Hauser,
Here.
Barbara McKenzie,
Here.
Sam Mulford. I believe Commissioner Mulford is ill. I know she's ill and will not be joining us this evening. Commissioner Parker,
Here.
Commissioner Schneider.
Here.
Okay, and Commissioner Heavenridge? Do you want to wave? I do not see his picture. So if someone can tell me that he waves.
He is waving.
Fabulous. Okay, then he's here. All right. Do we have any public appearances?
I have not received any written submissions this month, and I don't see any members of the public in our meeting with their hand raised.
Okay. Then we will move to actions by resolution. Our resolution 4.1 is the resolution that establishes the need to hold teleconference meetings due to proclaimed state of emergency. We've read this before. May I have a motion?
I move to approve it.
David moved. Who seconded?
Second.
Thanks, Barbara. I will call the roll. Any? Yes, any discussion? Okay. I'll call Commissioner Cahill. You said
Yes.
you moved. Commissioner Elkin,
Yes.
Commissioner Engbarth,
Yes.
Commissioner Foxen,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Yay.
Yay. Commissioner Hauser,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie seconded. Commissioner Mulford is not here. Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider,
Yes.
and I'll make it unanimous. Okay. And our next resolution is to honor a group of a women's group who has been quite active in Sonoma County, and we're delighted that some of them have joined us tonight. And we have a resolution in English, of course, but we also have one in Spanish because they do so much work in Spanish. So, Mr. Hawley, have you found someone to read the resolution for us in Spanish?
Chair Doyle, Serena Makovsky from the Roseland Library has volunteered to read the submission or read the resolution, which is great since she nominated this wonderful.
Fabulous. Oh, that's the best. All right. Then go.
Would you like me to read the whole thing in Spanish first? Is that the preferred way to do it?
Please do.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Hello, I'm Serena Makovsky from Roseland Library. Hola, estoy aquí para presentar la resolución en honor a Mujeres Unidas, United Women's Group. Considerando que la Biblioteca del Condado de Sonoma está comprometida con las conexiones con los líderes comunitarios que valoran escuchar y compartir información, y considerando que Mujeres Unidas participa activamente en muchos proyectos positivos en el suroeste de Santa Rosa, incluido el apoyo a la lectura de verano de la biblioteca en los programas de almuerzo gratis de Andy's Unity Park, distribuir materiales de divulgación de la biblioteca en las reuniones de redistribución de distritos en Santa Rosa y promover talleres bilingües de educación para la salud y seguridad. Y considerando que la biblioteca busca regularmente consejo, apoyo y asesoramiento de Mujeres Unidas sobre programación, divulgación y esfuerzo de reinventar la biblioteca y más. Y considerando que los miembros de Mujeres Unidas asistan regularmente a reuniones y programas de la biblioteca para ofrecer apoyo y interpretación a los hispanohablantes y siempre promover la educación, la divulgación y la salud comunitaria, y considerando que Mujeres Unidas promueve el principio de que las partes interesadas merecen su sitio en la mesa cuando se habla de las necesidades de la comunidad, y considerando que la bibliotecaria de Roseland, Serena Makovsky, quien nominó a Mujeres Unidas para ser honorada con una resolución de la comisión, describió el grupo como el pulso de la comunidad. Por lo tanto, se resuelve que la Comisión de la Biblioteca del Condado de Sonoma reconoce la extraordinaria asociación entre la biblioteca y las Mujeres Unidas, United Women's Group. Muchas gracias al grupo. Thank you. Yvette is here. Concepción, muchas gracias. Y creo que Marisol, no sé si hay otros. I don't know if anyone else is here, but thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And first, let's have the commission adopt it. May I have a motion to adopt?
I move it.
Thank you, David. Second?
I second.
Rachel, was that you?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I will, any discussion other than congratulations and thank you? All right, we'll take the roll. Commissioner Cahill,
Yes.
Commissioner Elkind,
Yes.
Commissioner Engbarth,
Yes.
Commissioner Foxen,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Hauser,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
See.
Commissioner Mulford. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Parker seconded, Commissioner Schneider,
Yes.
and I will make it unanimous. Wonderful, thank you so much. Do you have any words that you'd like to say?
Yes, I feel you guys already know me. I do other work in the Measure Y Commission, and I just want to say thank you for recognizing us. And we still have much work to do as we're moving forward to, hopefully get Roseland Library settled in here in the next couple of years. And so I thank you for my group, and as we continue to do work in the community, we continue to work with the Roseland Library and the Sonoma County Library system to continue to bring those things to the community that has not been in full fruition. So thank you so much for honoring our group, and I'd like to thank Conte for helping, bring to continue doing collaborations with our group. So thank you, everybody, for that.
Thank you. It's good to see you here in yet another role. Any other comments?
Can I just invite the Spanish speakers if they want to say anything as well?
Yes, that was my invitation. Please.
Oh, okay.
Ask them. Ask them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this moment. Concha, no sé si quieres decir algo que yo puedo traducir. No sé si quieres decir algo al comisión. O Marisol, no sé si ya estás, sí. Pero si quieres decir, bueno, pues y yo puedo traducir.
Nada más le quiero dar muchas gracias a las Mujeres Unidas y a por colaborar en Andispar y ayudarme en los launches y todo eso que hemos estado haciendo. Y pues me uno a ellas y he estado apoyando un poquito, aunque no soy del grupo, pero me gusta apoyar a las Mujeres Unidas y siempre tratando de ayudar algo a la comunidad y como ellas igualmente también me apoyan a mí. Gracias por todo.
Concha thanks everybody. She does a lot of work in the community, in part supporting Mujeres Unidas and in part doing her own community organizing, especially with Andy's Unity Park, and is so grateful for the partnership of the library and hopes for a continued collaboration as such.
Thank you very much. We're delighted with community partnerships and this one in particular. And it's nice because we're talking about Roseland tonight. And anyway, all right, let's see. Thank you very much for making the time to translate also. All right. So next on the agenda is the Sebastopol presentation, and we're looking forward to that. But I would like to take this opportunity to, just because Commissioner Heavenridge is out of the country and is waiting for a plane, he is very interested in making lab appointment. Is making his lab appointment, and so I would like to bring item 9 up right now. And talk about the lab appointments for Commissioner Engbarth, if you'd like to move Sebastopol at the same time, since we're doing the same thing, we can do that as well.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay, then we're on 9-1. Commissioner Heavenridge, would you like to talk about your candidates?
Yes, and thank you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Oh, great. I thought it was really important. I actually made it to LAX, Mexico. So and I may make it in before the last shuttle to Petaluma, leaves San Francisco, maybe. But at least my planes aren't there. So sorry, I thought it was really important because we're real excited about our 2 youth lab members that we interviewed 5 individuals that applied, and they're all great. So we're real excited. And so we wanted to have 2 that would split a vote on our lab, and we got some good ones. So I move by resolution that the Sonoma County Library Commission appoint the following applicants to the item terms listed. Maya Wade and Andrew Heller to youth advisory positions on the Petaluma Library Advisory Board for terms ending June 30th, 2022. And we include a little background information on this. So I guess I don't have to read them. It's noisy here in the airport, and I don't want to put you through that.
We have a good commission, and they have done their homework. So they've done the reading, and I hope
Good.
that people who are watching the meeting will also look at their backgrounds, because they are very impressive. Do we have a second?
I've seconded.
Thank you. All right, then I'm going to call the roll. Commissioner Cahill,
Yes.
Commissioner Elkin,
Yes.
Commissioner Barth was the second, Commissioner Foxen,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge was the first, Commissioner Hauser,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider,
Yes.
and I'll make it unanimous. Wonderful. Thank you very much,
Excellent.
Paul.
Excellent. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'm
Appreciate it.
gonna leave about 7, so I'll still be here.
Okay, sounds great. Commissioner Engbarth, would you like to talk about Sebastopol, your candidate for Sebastopol?
Sure. What I'd like to do is go ahead and move the draft motion as it's drafted and move it into the record. Walt is very active in the Sebastopol library community. He's serves on the Measure Y committee. He's on our lab, and he's very active in doing the book groups for the Friends organizations, which he's also a member of that. And just doing other odds and ends around the library to keep it functioning. So it's great that he's reapplied for his position, and I'd like to go ahead and move that we accept the resolution as drafted.
I'll
Do I have a
second.
All right. Then I will, any conversation about that? Any objections? Any comments? Okay, Commissioner Cahill,
Yes.
Commissioner Elkin,
Yes.
Commissioner Engbarth was the first, Commissioner Foxen,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Hauser,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie was the second, Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider,
Yes.
and I'll make it unanimous. And I would applaud Mr. Fraser's commitment to the library. I think it's always wonderful when we can see committed people return. It also is wonderful to see the young people in Petaluma. I think as this library touches more people, because our expanse is a little greater these days. After Measure Y, I think it's always wonderful to look for people who are experiencing new things from this library. And so people on the library advisory boards and the and some of our other advisory groups, it's wonderful if they come from new backgrounds. So I would encourage us all to look widely and encourage people to commit. And with that, we will welcome our new library advisory board members. And thanks, Paul. Thanks very much, everybody, for being flexible. And so back to Petaluma. Back to Sebastopol. I'm very sorry that we asked you to wait, but since we have a commissioner who is in the airport, we thought that it was important. So we look forward to hearing about Sebastopol.
Thank you very much. Hello, my name is Matthew Rose, and I'm the manager at the Sebastopol Library. I have 2 goals with this presentation tonight. The first is the Library Commission needs to know the amazing staff who dedicate themselves to the Sebastopol Library work day in and day out. They're an inspiration to me and our love for the quality and quantity of the work that they do in our community. And the second goal is the Library Commission should know the immense import that the Sebastopol Library staff put in connecting with our community members, and with our community entities. With that in mind, let's get started. We've got our library staff support each other and solve problems together. We discuss improvements together and untangle thorny issues that come up in library service. This team is loving and compassionate and wise, and each member contributes above and beyond, circulation and shelving staff included. We analyze stats, we make displays, we maintain social media, we participate in system-wide teams, and so much more. And I can't think of a better way to share with you their skills than for them to take over this presentation via video.
Hi, I'm Carrie King, Library Associate.
Is the audio coming through?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Coming through with some echo. He has a new joke to share with us every time he visits. It's hard to hear. Our team makes extra effort to ensure anybody and any ability can use our library. We want to be a welcoming space to all. Our staff are encouraging the creation of a disability advocacy team to work on queer advocacy team and other teams working hard to improve our services. The current building opened in 1976 and had an earthquake retrofit in 2005. I look forward to it.
She's gone.
Specialist. Surian has been using the Sebastopol Library for over 25 years and loves the variety of materials we have to offer. She homeschooled her daughter and used the library as the main support for school. Since 2004, she has checked out 8,044 items. Our library typically pulls down circulation pre-pandemic, in the afternoon hours, it was not rare to see every table occupied and students huddled on the floor for lack of room to do homework. Our checkouts from January through November 2021, 42,459. Hi, I'm Colette Cornelius, library specialist.
Sorry, Matthew, we can't hear her.
Volunteers and members for over 20 years. Her friends have donated millions to the library since its inception in 1969.
Better.
Thousands of hours from dedicated library employees show the
No, we can't hear her.
I think Matt, is Mike still on? We might be getting a feedback loop.
Apologize about that.
Yeah, I think it might just be a feedback loop with everybody up and not muted. But I'm wondering if Mike Dawes is still online and has an idea about what to do with it.
My suggestion would be to have Bridget run it, or somebody that is on site, rather than trying to stream it from a laptop from somebody's home. During Zoom meetings, streaming video can be problematic. So we might just have to do our best.
Thanks.
Bridget, is that something that we can work on, or do you want me to switch over to Plan B?
I think Plan B would be best, and maybe we can email the commissioners the video afterwards so they can all enjoy it.
Sounds good.
That'd be perfect.
Let me switch around some things.
We get very good at improv.
Which slide were we at? We were meeting Sue, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. I would like to introduce you to Sue. Sue is the president of the Friends of the Library at Sebastopol Library, and she leads our dedicated volunteers and members of the Friends of the Library. She's done that for over 20 years. The Friends have donated millions of dollars to the library since their inception in 1969. Thousands of hours of dedicated library supporters show the love this community has for its library. We honor this work and do our best to ensure that their dedication reaches the people in the library community. In addition to the Friends, Lantern is a nonprofit raising funds for our new Sebastopol Library building, one that better serves our community. I'd like to introduce you to Key. Key is the chair of the Library Advisory Board. He, along with the other lab members, work with the community to gather input and feedback on issues of importance for the Sebastopol Library community. The lab has been instrumental in providing advice that improves our services and ensures the Sebastopol Library remains representative of its community values. Members assist with outreach and advocacy efforts. Rosalie, our teen librarian, runs a book club at the West County High School, and there are over 40 participants this year.
No, we are not seeing the slides, just so that you know that.
Why aren't you seeing the slides?
I'm not sure about that. We have them. I mean, so we're following along on our own.
Did I share the wrong screen? I apologize.
There we are. Perfect.
All right. The president of the library book club at the West County High School lives in Fort Ross and commutes to Sebastopol every school day. And the vice president of the book club lives in Roseland. Our service area is large, and even the dense areas on the map, when zoomed, are spread out and rural. Like many of our libraries, our patron usage overlaps many jurisdictions. From Fort Ross to Sonoma, Cloverdale to Petaluma, patrons like to visit the Sebastopol Library. Ethan, Ellie, Alex, and Elijah visit the library after school. They study, play games, use our computers, and sometimes just be in our library. They don't add much to our stats, but we don't mind. Many after-school hours are busy with students, sometimes with and sometimes without their caretakers. Our busiest and loudest times are between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock. Meet Yukiko, Maya, Jaffe, and Kozo. They read a lot of books. Two of our biggest demographic personas or clusters are the bedtime story cluster, adults who check out books for their kids, and our page turners, also known as our avid readers or super users. Sebastopol has a high percentage of patrons who use digital resources, but not the highest percentage in our system. Meet Tom. Tom came to the reference desk about 3 years ago and asked a question. He wanted to learn if he could use Medicaid to pay for his new teeth. We helped Tom research what services were available to him, and he proudly has new teeth now. He calls them his chompers. Helping Tom chew through government websites and contact the right places to meet his needs was a pleasure for us, but also one of our challenges. Helping people navigate the tangle of modern information systems, differentiate hoax from reality, and do so with varying technology skills and tools is a modern reality for many libraries, including ours. Other challenges we face are unsheltered populations, providing services in a society with massive income inequalities, and addressing racism in our operations and community. Trying to understand what we can do to mitigate climate change, as well as doing all this in a public-facing service during a global pandemic, is a challenge. Meet Ivers. Ivers loves the Take the Library Outside program, a monthly bag of STEM activities and resources for families to explore their world. During our curbside operations, this addressed the community need for STEM programming that used to be part of our regular operations. We continued the Take the Library Outside offering due to demand. The program has many fans. We started off with offering 12 kits, and we're up to providing 90 per month. Many of our pre-pandemic, actually Ivers came in today with his own Take the Library Outside bag to give to us, one that he created with toys that he got. It was a delight to see. Many of our pre-pandemic programs have had fans too. We strategize with our programs to meet diverse community needs, balance programs to educate, entertain, and challenge people's thoughts and feelings, and to knit the community fabric. We're just starting to rebuild our program offerings. Along with the Take the Library Outside program, we started a Leave a Coat, Take a Coat program, which is hugely popular. Items are always coming in and going out from that coat rack. We have Picture Books for Adults passive program, and we restarted our Dungeons and Dragons program, and we're reimagining strategically more of what we can do. Meet Freddie. When news broke in our community about accusations against the well-known restaurant owner regarding sexual harassment, sexual assault, and workplace abuse, Freddie came to the library and asked how the library could help be a resource for those impacted by this and similar abuses. Working with them, we collected books and articles and set up a space for reflection, education, and sharing. Responding to customer suggestions directly or through the library advisory board ensures we are connected to our community, representative of our community, and an authentic partner to our community members. We work with teachers and parents and invite our community to contribute to displays and programs. Rachel Ambrose inspires students as ethnic studies instructor at West County High School. Knowing that research skills are vital to her students' success, Ambrose ensures her students visit the library and that the library visits her classes. As often as possible, in addition to outreach to West County High School, Sebastopol staff are embedded in our community through regular contact with the local elementary, middle, and charter schools, our homeless advocates groups, the Chamber of Commerce, the Senior Center, community benefit organizations, and we share library resources at the Grevenstein Health Action Chapter's Parent Education Fair, and many more. We have represented the library in community events like the Apple Blossom Fair and the Street Printing Festival, and hope to do so again. Meet Amanda. Amanda is a library user, student, artist, musician, and swimmer, and she is this and will be so much more. We are glad to be a place where Amanda can study and learn, explore, participate in programs, and act as a resource for her to shape her future. Our team works hard to ensure we remain useful to our current users, but also think a lot about how our library will be used by future generations. We pilot ideas to see if they can be turned into appreciated services. We explore technology to add to the conversation about how it impacts our community and how we can reach new audiences. We invite thinkers to present and expand our understanding of our world, and we host programs that are valuable and forward-thinking. While we reimagine what the library can be and we work toward reestablishing pre-pandemic services that are valued, we remain committed to our community. And finally, meet Michael. Michael is an author. You can find his book, Root Flute, in the library. Michael is frequently in the library articulating ideas, asking himself and us and the universe very important questions. And it is now your turn to ask those questions.
Thanks very much, Mr. Rose. Do we have any questions for Mr. Rose?
Just a comment. It's a very active library. I've been using it since I moved to the West County back in 1974, 73. And the library's gone through a lot of changes. It could use some more space, and we're working with the city to identify ways to do that. But the library is very committed, as Michael as mentioned, to the community and very much embedded in the community. And that part of that's reflected in the response. As an example of the response that I had when I reached out to get people to participate in the survey for the facilities planning. it was an overwhelming response, and people very actively looking for information on that. And I think they'll continue to be engaged in it. So I thank Matthew for the presentation and for his staff for all the good work that they did.
Indeed. Commissioner McKenzie.
Yes, I want to thank Matthew Rose also for his presentation. With the time I started getting involved in the library, was about 2011, and the Sebastopol Library had been remodeled, and the commission was actually going around to the different libraries and having commission meetings at different libraries, and I went out there. And anyway, I remember a sign that said the Friends of the Library had been involved in that renovation. And I wondered if Matthew, you recall kind of what the level of involvement the Friends had in that renovation.
I started my career here in Sonoma County Library just after the remodel was complete. And
Okay.
I have heard a shifting figure between $250,000 to $500,000.
So they were significant donors in that renovation project. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And long ago, must have been right after you came, then you did a really nice tour for me, which I appreciate. And I just kind of dropped in, and you had all these things going on. There were people playing chess, and, it was just a really active community center feeling in there. And I was really impressed with just the overall vibe of Sebastopol Library. And I appreciate your presentation, very focused on individuals and their contributions. So thank you so much.
Anybody else?
Oh, just one thing, Matthew, you have a robotic staff member, is that correct?
The library system does have a robot. If you want to see him in action, our TikTok channel, Library 95472, has some videos of Rio in action. It belongs to the Guerneville Library, but the scope is making it available to West County. So we're borrowing it for a little while and playing with it and seeing how it can be used here. And then we'll work with a Guerneville Library to get the robot wider exposure.
Now, Rosalie is the member of your staff that's worked on that and getting it programmed from start to finish. Is that correct?
Yes,
yeah.
Correct.
Anybody else? Thanks very much, Mr. Rose, and we appreciate your being patient with us as well.
And thank you for bearing with my technology difficulties.
No. We will look forward to seeing you at the Sebastopol Library. Take care. Okay, we've done the library advisory boards, library reports. Anne, is there something you'd like to call out from your library reports?
Well, mostly it is in the packet, but I to draw attention to the fact that today was the beginning of our expanded hours in the branches, and we're very excited about that. We're getting closer to our pre-pandemic hours. Having said that, we are very much aware of the Omicron surge and the difficulties that are being experienced in many locations. So we're watching closely the developments and keeping in touch with the county health department, and we'll make any adjustments that seem warranted, but cautiously optimistic that we'll continue our good progress forward. And as you've seen from the library reports, the management reports, we're continuing to make progress in terms of our physical and digital checkouts, our programming, all the different services that we offer. And additionally, we're making progress on our capital projects. Guerneville and Central is basically completed. Petaluma is on track. And lots of good things going on, lots of opportunities ahead of us, and we're doing a good job here.
Thanks very much. I meant to start off the meeting by congratulating you on the expanded hours and lost my train of thought. Apologies. Are there any questions for Anne and
Yes.
the reports?
Yes.
Okay.
I noticed on page 31 of 105, under item 7.1.1, the two things I was wondering about, if you can give us some more information, and that was the comment on fund development overview, and also on the meeting with stakeholder groups who can support Roseland Capital campaign. I was wondering about those two things and getting perhaps from you more information about both of them.
Craig Palmer, our development manager, is working on a plan for how we approach fund development, and specifically the need for capital funds to supplement our property tax and Measure Y tax. That is in process now, and you'll be hearing a lot more about that as it is fleshed out. Community assessment, was that the other thing you asked about?
On the meeting with stakeholders.
Meeting with stakeholders. Oh, I see. Yes. That is something that we have been working on today. As a matter of fact, we're putting together a list of people and groups in the Roseland area and otherwise who can give us input into what their view of the needs would be and how we can use that information to develop our case statement when we are ready to launch the campaign. We're early days in this, and we're going to be gathering a lot of information from a lot of people and then putting all of that together to benefit the community and the library system as a whole. So I don't have a lot of detail for you right now, but there will be much more coming very soon.
I'm wondering if the information you gather from those meetings could be shared and integrated into the work that's being done on the facilities plan. It would seem like that would be a good additional source of information.
Yeah,
will be eventually.
Good point. Yeah, the facilities plan will be getting the final report very soon on that. But I know from what I've seen already that there is a great need out there in all of our locations for structural improvements, for ADA improvements, as well as potentially for renovations or expansion. So all of that has to be put together and prioritized. And then we'll have a plan for a more comprehensive fundraising as we look at the long-term needs of our library system.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? Okay, moving on to, I don't think we have any public comments. All right, then we'll move on to budget and finance.
I know that Randy Seibel is not able to be with us tonight, but Myrna is going to walk us through the reports.
Okay, so this is good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. This is the summer report that we normally start with, and we're pretty much on. So what has been presented in the past are this report is through November, and therefore the actuals are reported through November. And then in the detail, you see that any future months, the receipts are reported from the prior year. And in this case, through November, we've received, I got to look at my list. In revenue, well, through November, 119,189 in property tax and 3,897,540 in sales tax. I would like to note that the December property tax was posted, And it was in the amount of just under $13.1 million. That's 57% of what the property tax was budgeted at 22,637,900. And that's a 5.6 increase from last year in December of 2020. So we are pretty much on target to meet our revenues, in assuming that the second payments that are due in the spring come in just as strong. And with sales tax, also on average, it's averaging to meet our budget target of 14,470,000. And we'll see if any changes, and if anything will change for the month the month of December and the holiday shopping. So it's all good news. This report shows only one payroll, one payroll for the month of November, because of the way it was delayed in posting, but we are on track with what we've budgeted for salaries and benefits to be within our salary and benefits budget. And I don't know if you have any questions on this page. Okay. I'd like to say that I'm working on a mid-year review, and I'm meeting individually with the division managers, and so that we present a mid-year review sometime in February. We'll be discussing that later, and in those events, we will have further information, and the projections for the revenue will be a much closer look at our actuals and how we expect to end the year. So something to look forward to. Next report is, we have cash balance, and this is pretty much on target with our cash balances, and we will see in your next report come end of December where we will have an influx with the property tax that has been posted. Any questions on that?
I do, Myrna, on the restricted cash. I noticed, and I might know the answer to this, but I thought I'd check with you, that the pledge from the city of Santa Rosa for money for Roseland, and also the pledge made by our assemblyman for the city of for the Roseland Library, don't show up as restricted cash. Is it because they haven't been transferred to us yet?
I believe that they may have come in after November. I'm not sure about the timing. It could be a timing issue. This is the first time I know I've heard that, but I don't think they've been posted through the month of November. And do you have some better news on timing?
No, I was just wondering, because we've talked about them, and I'm just wondering if they have transferred that over, or if they're still holding that restricted, those pledges, if they're still holding their budget for that within their own, their own budget.
They're still holding it. We've not received it yet.
Okay, so they could give us all or some of that $10 million, depending on what they feel might be appropriate with their budget. Is that correct?
They have allocated $10 million toward the permanent Roseland Library, and we'll receive that when we are ready to start the project.
Okay.
Wow.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay.
I was a little bit surprised to hear that. I didn't think that money was coming to Sonoma County Library in terms of building. So maybe we could have some clarity about that next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
So moving on from cash balance.
So this is the special fund activity for the property tax, and it shows where our revenues and expenditures to date, and some of the conversations that we had about this in the finance committee. If you look towards the bottom half of the schedule, it says detail of fund balance components. These are the components of our fund balance. And it shows that we have a fund balance committed to capital improvement. And this line item only shows up in property tax and not in under Measure Y. And there's also in the fund balance policy, there's a second similar type of fund that can be created, which is an asset maintenance fund. So these are some of the questions that were raised in the finance committee that I've been researching, and possibly now with the facilities master plan that's coming, that we can be more strategic and forward looking and planning for our facilities and capital improvements. And this is the tool that we would use for that purpose. So I just wanted to say that those were some of the conversations we had in the finance committee that I'm looking into. Any questions on that? And so the next report is the special fund activity for sales tax. And again, this shows the fund balance for the sales tax. And again, the bottom half of the schedule shows the detail of fund balance components of what makes up the fund balance. And here is where there is an opportunity to look at adding a component for capital improvement projects. Any questions on that?
I might be jumping ahead here, but I'm wondering on, let's see, for consulting. First of all, I wanted to thank you for the printout on other contract services. That was helpful. It was good to see that. And I'm wondering whether the same could be done for the budget item 51226, the consulting services. If we could get a breakdown of the vendors that are receiving those payments.
It's certainly something that the finance committee can take a look at. I'm not sure that we want to spend a lot of full commission time on.
I'm not asking for it right now. I just think the way that the other contract services breakdown listing was provided was great, and I'm raising it with Marina now, and could be done at the next meeting or the finance committee meeting, is for a similar breakdown for the consulting services, just to see where that money is going and what we're doing with it.
Thanks.
Just a question.
Okay, yes, I've noted that, and we could discuss that at the Finance Committee. The next schedule is voucher payments over 50,000. Are there any questions on this? Okay. The next schedule is the breakdown of other contract services. So this is one account, one line item under services and supplies. And there have been questions that have been raised on what is being coded and booked in under this. And even the printout for this was helpful for me, as well as I am meeting individually with the division managers and taking a very close look at their budgets. And we have found some items that should not be coded here, but should be coded under a different account. So for example, you'll have Celco, which is our Sonoma Phi program, and that's not other contract services, but that should be coded under our Wi-Fi program, and a couple of other items that are of smaller value, but also should be are better characterized under a different account. So this is the detail of the other contract services. Any questions on this one?
Do you think you'll have them tidied up in the next couple of months? Is that your goal?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, that's the purpose of the mid-year review,
Super.
and hoping to make that a regular practice. So the next page is the list of vendors that are being charged to that other contract services. So it's helpful to drill down on these. The next schedule is the very detailed budget for, is this the sales tax or the property tax you have up? I'm not sure. I think it's the, can't tell.
Looks like property.
Sales.
It's sales. Okay, so this is the deep dive in the sales tax activity through November. And this is where I will be working on using our actuals for this fiscal year to project out on how we will end the fiscal year June 30th, 2022. I think, if barring any major changes, I feel that we'll be within our budget. Okay, the next schedule is the detail for property tax. And again, this one, in your next report that will be through December, you will see the posting of the property tax, the first payment. And so, it came in pretty strong and within our budget. Any questions on this?
Yes, on outside counsel legal advice. At the last meeting, I raised a question regarding getting a breakdown of the billings of where our money's going for legal services, and we did have a discussion about privilege documents, and I have a couple of questions with that. One of them is, I'm wondering, and since Randy's not here, what's been done since the last board meeting on that?
I will need to confer with staff tomorrow, and I'll let you know. I don't believe we've made sufficient progress as I had hoped on that, and that would be my fault. But I'll follow up and let you know where we are with that.
Okay, then the other question, if he's on the line, is for legal counsel regarding the privilege issue and whether he's had an opportunity himself to look at that issue as far as disclosing the billings to the commission in a manner that's unredacted, since the commission is his client, versus the what might appear on the public record disclosure of the expenses that could be redacted. The confidential information could be redacted, and the billings could be there. And wondering whether he's looked into that and what thoughts he might have on that.
That is something that I need to follow up with Anne and Randy on. I have generally thought about it. You are correct. As the client, having access to the detailed information is not inappropriate. I would not want it shared as part of a public packet.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
And there's always some concern with just how documents tend to sort of float around if they get released in a final form. But we can certainly take a look at providing unredacted information as appropriate or as requested by individual.
Yeah, I have some. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I have some case sites I could send you on that if you're interested in looking at them. You probably already seen them before. I would.
Yeah, I'm fairly familiar with the rules on disclosure of attorney-client information.
Okay.
So yeah, but let me follow up with Anne on that as well.
Okay.
And we'll figure out a sort of a best way to make the information available.
Okay.
To you.
Thanks.
Are there any other questions? Okay. So I think, let's see. Yeah, the next one would be, I could scroll down to gifts and donations. And bequests. Any questions on these schedules? Okay, that concludes the schedules for the month of November.
Super. Commissioner Elkind, is there anything that you'd like to add?
No, except I'm really happy to hear that the property tax has come in at 50% of the annual budget. That's certainly above what we were projecting, and that's great news for the library. Other than that, I think Myrna's covered it.
Thanks. Okay, seeing no other questions, and I don't believe there is anybody from the public here. Any public comments? No? Then we will move into Commissioner and Liaison reports. Does anyone have anything to add to their commission reports, or does anybody want to mention something that didn't make it on their report? I see any hands?
Chair Doyle, I just had a question. Can those reports be shown as part of the meeting?
Sure.
maybe kind of go slowly through the. The point I'm trying to make is I think the commissioners are involved in lots of things. A lot of stuff goes on. We used to report verbally about what we were doing, and then we stopped that to, kind of speed things up. And then I think some of this, that it just gets lost and it's never reflected, especially since we're doing Zoom meetings. It's not reflected as part of our meetings. If all we're looking at right now is the kind of overview here, and it doesn't show the individual commissioner reports.
No, of course. However, everyone has read their packet, so the commission reports are there certainly. But well, for example, is there something that you would like to draw out from your own experience last month?
No, I'm just talking conceptually. I mean, I think we get the packets, and so yes, we read our packets. But I'm just making a more general point. We take the time to go through the financial reports in some detail. I just think it would be, in passing, just kind of a nice record of, to just show the reports that we submit over the month. I mean, right now I'm seeing part of somebody's, but I'm not seeing, there we go. I'm just, we're in a weird world now where, we're meeting by Zoom. We aren't able to really talk about the things that we do and our involvement with the library. So it was just, kind of as a, it's a public meeting, just kind of indicate the activities of the commissioners. Just doesn't have to be in detail or whatever, but just kind of spin them by as part of the agenda.
I'm sorry, is the packet not part of the public record?
The packet is part of the public record.
Then it's there. I'm sorry. I don't see why we need to display it on the video.
I concur with Andy. The packet's been out since last Thursday.
Okay, I just have a different opinion. So.
Okay, and it has gone. Jen has or Mike have taken it through slowly. So, any comments on the commission reports that you've read? Any additions? All right, then we will, and I should know this. We don't have to vote on accepting them, do we?
In the past.
On the commission reports, no.
No, thank you. I didn't think so. Sorry. All right, then let's move on to the committee and liaison reports. And there are two. Commissioner Elkin, would you like to walk us through the finance committee report, or and that's also in the packet?
I thought that Jen's minutes were excellent, and as I think everybody on the commission knows, we have a new process for the finance committee minutes. Jen does a draft of the minutes. I review it. She makes any changes that I request, and then it does go out to the other members of the finance committee who have an opportunity to make any additions or corrections that are appropriate. So I don't have anything that I would want to add to what was there. I will just point out that we have asked Myrna and Randy to take a look at the fund balance policy and implementing a couple of new categories that are called for in the policy, but have not actually been set up. And this was Commissioner Barbara McKenzie was taking the lead in pointing this out. So I am hopeful that they will come back to us with a recommendation that we move ahead with fund balances that are committed to capital improvements and capital asset maintenance in the sales tax funds. That would be, I think, an enhancement. But that's it.
Thanks. Any comments on the Finance Committee report?
I have a couple of questions that are up just for updates. What's the status on the audits, Andy? Are we still in the same spot that we were in when you had your meeting? Or
Well, I'm going to toss that one over to Myrna. My understanding is that the audit will be done by mid-January. Myrna, is that what you're hearing from Pasenti and Brinker?
Yes, that is correct. They had given us actually January 17th as a date. So if, that's my expectation. And so it could be ready for the 24th, which is the next Finance Committee.
Yeah, that would be great.
That would be, it would be nice. The other question I had was, and it could be related to it might be another one that Myrna could respond to, but I know in the past, going through commission records, that they used to receive from the financial officer a chart of accounts, detailed chart of accounts. And I'm wondering whether you've had the opportunity to work on developing something like that yet, and if so, if we could look forward to getting a copy of it at some point.
Chart of accounts. Yes, we do have a chart of accounts, and we have been working on with it. We use we emulate what the county has established, so we're pretty consistent with the county.
Oh, great. Could we get copies of that?
Yeah, sure, with the Finance Committee.
Okay, yeah, that would be fine. Thanks.
Anything else?
And Andy, thanks a lot for running good meetings. They're always worth sitting in and watching. So,
well, thank you, Fred. But it's really, I think, the work that Randy and Myrna and the staff have done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And make it possible. So, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thanks for joining. And let me just say, I do and welcome anyone else on the commission who would like to listen in on the meetings. The request, of course, is that your camera's off and you're on mute, but you're certainly welcome to attend any of the Finance Committee meetings. And I think we're going to have some very interesting ones coming up as we look at the audited financial reports and as Myrna is preparing for the mid-year budget adjustments. So please join if you'd like. Next one will be on January 24th. Thank you.
Thanks very much. The next report of this is the Historic Records Commission, and mostly it was a report from us. However, the Historic Records Commission noted that the Sonoma County Archives Awards luncheon will be held on March 6th at the Flamingo Hotel. So that was the big piece of news from them. We've done the lab appointments. Any comments? All right, we've done the lab appointments, and now we are going to move down to our consent calendar. These matters include routine financial and administrative actions that may be approved by a consensus. Any commission member or member of the public may request that an item be removed from the calendar and have it placed with the action items. The commission will approve the minutes of the prior meetings in summary format. So may I have a move to approve? Commissioner
I'll
Engelbart?
move to approve the budget, the minutes of the December 6th meeting.
Okay, have we got a second?
I second Hauser.
Thank you. That's so I've lost my roster here. Hang on. All right, let's move to accept. Commissioner Engelbarth?
Yes.
Commissioner Hauser?
Yes.
Commissioner Foxen?
Yes.
Commissioner Cahill? You're on mute.
Yes, I was on mute, and yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Schneider?
Yes.
Commissioner Elkind?
Yes.
Commissioner Parker?
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner, who have I missed? Rats. Commissioner Heaven Ridge is no longer on the call, I believe. And I will make it unanimous. Okay. Let's see. All right, we are going to move to action items by motion. First one is the revision to library cards and borrowers policy and a revision to schedule changes.
Good evening, Chair Doyle, members of the Library Commission. Sarah Vantries, Public Services Division Manager, bringing this item before you tonight. We're asking you to approve two revisions to two of our policies. They go side by side, our library cards and borrowing policy, which governs how we make materials available to the public, and then the associated schedule of charges, which defines the fees that we charge for some services. Most of the changes tonight are fairly minor. I can provide more information about them upon request. I just wanted to draw attention to a few of them. First, as you know, we have had some temporary changes in place due to the access issues caused by the pandemic. When the library was only providing curbside service, we looked at our circulation policy to see how we could achieve the goals of this policy and the spirit of this policy while recognizing that curbside service only provided some barriers to use. And so we were able to make the most of our policy to provide consistent service during the pandemic. Now that we are back to in-person hours, in addition to curbside service, we wanted to bring this revision to you to incorporate one of those temporary changes that we made during the pandemic. Namely, we would like to expand access to our users for placing additional holds. Pre-pandemic, people could place only 25 item requests at a time. And we saw that during the pandemic, the library was able to allow people to place 50 requests at a time without any fiscal impact. This makes a difference, of course, for some of our super users. You guys might be some of them, readers who plan far in advance to request books when they hear of a new book coming out with a publication date. So it serves those people, but it also provides great service to our curbside only users because they may not be coming into the library to browse. They are just placing holds. So by expanding this to 50 items, we're able to better serve them the same way that we would serve community members who can come into the library. So I just wanted to draw your attention to that. Some of the other minor changes, we are adding information about the Sonomify and Chrome kits when this policy was last reviewed by you and approved. Those were a pilot program. And so now we're out of the pilot stage and we can bring that fully incorporated into our policy. The other associated policy here is our schedule of charges. And normally the commission would review this annually. We did not look at it during the last 2 years because of the pandemic. The library had no changes to recommend. And tonight we have just a few things to bring before you. We are clarifying a few small items in this, and we've also added general language to help explain how we would make determination about charges that are not itemized in this policy, namely that generally speaking, the library is going to charge costs based on the actual cost incurred by the library. So that would allow us, for example, to charge administrative costs associated with filling a Public Records Act request without getting into details in this policy and trying to come up with every possible scenario. One of the items in the schedule of charges that is actually not based on a cost recovery, but on the market rate would be the charges for rental of our library meeting rooms. And to give you the context for this, in November, you approved a new policy for the public use of meeting rooms. And that set really clear priorities for how we use our meeting rooms at the library. We give our first priority to library use library events, and that includes events by our affiliated partners such as Friends of the Library. We also prioritize the use of our JPA members of their own rooms. And then we also allow for free public use of these rooms by a large variety of users and groups in our communities. Kind of the bottom of the list and the least common use of our meeting rooms is a rental for organizations that don't meet the qualifications for a free use of the meeting room. And in updating that policy in November, we had some change to the language to help make those distinctions really clear and easy to understand for our public. And so we're updating the schedule of charges to mirror that language from the meeting room policy that you approved in November. And then we're also making a couple changes to the meeting room rental rates. The purpose is to standardize these rates, make them uncomplicated, and give a little bit more definition to the time frame for the meetings that would be covered by these rates. So we looked at the rental rates for our neighboring library systems meeting rooms, as well as the rental rates for other public agencies in Sonoma County that have a similar type space to rent. And so we're recommending the rates that you see there. It's a standard system of rates based on the length of the meeting, and it would be the same regardless of our library location. Our current rates are kind of complicated and run a kind of a variable range from $45 to $86 per meeting with lots of other levels in between. And so this brings consistency to our meeting room use so that all of our communities would pay the same rate if they wanted to rent the room. And it also makes it easy for staff to implement and for the community to understand. So those are the main changes that we're bringing up tonight. If you have questions or want to hear more details about any of this, I'm happy to help answer those.
Questions? Thank you for tackling this. This is now that things are opening up. It's I think people are going to be looking forward to meeting in person. I don't see any questions. I'm sorry, Commissioner Schneider.
I just have a comment.
Commissioner Schneider had her, Commissioner Ingbarth, Commissioner Schneider had her hand up. Go for it.
Thank you. Really, no questions. I just want to commend you for the consistency and the cost and the pricing. That I think that just really helps communicate very easily and easier on staff and easier on the public. Thank you. I know lots of hard work went into this. I appreciate it.
And I'm sorry, Commissioner Ingbarth.
Yeah, that's took the words right out of my mouth, Karen. That's exactly what I was going to say. And
wonderful.
That was a great report, and I like the fact that it was so thorough and that you tracked the revisions. It made it easy to follow it and review it. So thanks a lot.
Good to check with the neighbors also. Thanks. All right. Do we have to? We do have to approve it. All right.
I move that we approve these two items.
Second.
All right. Commissioner Hauser, Commissioner Ingbarth. Any other comments, questions? Okay. Commissioner Cahill?
Yes.
Commissioner Elkin?
Yes.
Commissioner Ingbarth said
Yes.
was the second. Yes. Commissioner Foxen?
Yes.
I don't believe we have Commissioner Heavenridge anymore. Commissioner Hauser?
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie?
Yes.
Commissioner Parker?
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider?
Yes.
And I'll make it unanimous. Wonderful. Thanks very much. Very helpful. All right, moving on to the discussion of the mid-year budget review and budget process for fiscal year 2022-23, the proposed timeline.
Mirna, are you going to introduce this one?
Yes. Jen, can you put the timeline up? So this timeline is to help us plan for the major action items that will be coming before the commission, and to hopefully schedule a couple of items that don't have a specific date. So what's coming ahead is on January 24th is the next finance committee. And at that time, the plan is to present a recommendation for allocation of our major revenues, which are the property tax and the Measure Y sales tax, including a mid-year review of fiscal year 22 through December 31st, 2021. And we are expecting the FY 20 and 21 audits. That's a big agenda, pretty, so those are planned and on track. And then for the February regular commission meeting, if everything is fine at the finance committee, hopefully they would recommend moving it forward to the commission for the commission's review of its February meeting. And that meeting would also include the mid-year review and the fiscal year 20 and 21 audits. We have discussed a commission finance workshop where potentially if the mid-year could be discussed at this time as well. That's why I have it noted there. But depending on timing, it could be as early as the February regular commission meeting. The date for the commission finance committee, as far as I know, has not been set. And there was discussion at the finance committee of potential dates. In February, you will also have the finance committee on February 28th. And I don't have any specific items there unless some things are carried forward from the earlier meetings for further discussion and clarity. And then you have your regular commission meeting in March. And again, the March committee, the March Finance Committee. And we had originally scheduled the commission budget workshop for Saturday, March 26th, I believe it was. And for some, we needed to reschedule it because of a major library conference that happens around at the same timing. And so the discussion is to reschedule that. So we're waiting for a date on that. The budget will be after the budget workshop. I have here a placeholder for a budget review at the commission regular meeting in May. So that would be a second opportunity for the commission to see the budget. So the budget workshop would be a presentation of a proposal. The staff would receive feedback from the commission and incorporate that feedback for the May 2nd commission meeting, present revisions to the budget at that time. And then the budget would be adopted at the regular commission meeting on June 6th. And that would be hopefully just a formality to adopt the budget so that we can forward the budget to the county for entering it into the systems. So this is laid out so that if you have any feedback on changing any dates or what would be presented at these meetings, we can discuss that so that there's proper and appropriate review of these items.
Commissioner McKenzie.
Thank you, Mayor, and I appreciate your laying this out. I think it's important. I am a little bit concerned about the change in the date of the commission budget workshop, only in the sense that we need to get rolling really quickly on getting a new date. And hope that somebody's going to send us out a doodle poll and we can get going on that, because, you know, people's schedules fill up pretty quickly. I was over the weekend reading through some of the aspects of the joint powers agreement with relationship to something else. But anyway, it has a specific reference in here to the budget process. And it says at least 1 month prior to the commission's annual public sessions to be held on the budget, the library director and the chief financial officer shall hold a public discussion or workshop with respect to the budget. Now, I'm not exactly sure what these, how this fits together and what these things are, but you know, last year we really ran up against some time issues and weren't, as you know, able to really have all the discussions and all the paperwork done and everything that we needed to. So I do, and I'm along with everybody else, I'm sure, really want to get this done correctly this year. So I would just appreciate if you kind of take a look at that. It's on page 9B, budget process, and see if this is in, you know, all fits together well. And then again, get us a doodle poll so we can pick a date to have our very important budget finance workshop. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I don't think we have to adopt this. I think there are too many holes in it for us to adopt, but it's a good start. And we certainly have been trying to fill in the blanks. Commissioner Hauser, you have your hand up.
What are we going to set these 2 yellow dates, to be determined dates? How are we going to do that? Are we going to do a doodle poll? Do we want to ask for preferences for a Saturday meeting over an evening meeting, a weekday evening meeting? Should we be discussing that right now for 3 minutes?
Commissioner Elkin, do you have thoughts on that?
I have no changed feelings from what I said at the last finance committee meeting. Personally, you know, I think a late afternoon, evening meeting is preferable to a weekend meeting, but I think we just have to, as Barbara's saying, we got to get a poll out and see when people are available.
So we would have some weekday times and a weekend time also.
Yes.
That's fine.
If it would be helpful if you know that you have, in a perfect world and COVID doesn't completely stop everybody's plans, if you know that you have travel plans, get them to Jen. And then we can at least try to start building a calendar. And one hopes that within 10 days, I know that's a long time, but within 10 days, we should have the dates nailed down. Commissioner McKenzie, do you have another comment, or was that an old hand?
I always forget that I have to take my own hand down, so I will do.
There we go. All right, great. So we will try to, does anybody else have any comments? Mr. Hauser suggested we leave a couple of minutes. Did anybody else have any? I would think for myself, I'd vote for an afternoon as opposed to a full Saturday, but we'll have one of those on the calendar. I don't see anybody else's hands up. Okay, great. Then we'll try to get that. We'll try to get the dates nailed down as quickly as we possibly can. And with that, we are going to go into closed session.
Oh, could we, I have a comment to make before we do that.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand up again. Go for it.
Okay. I plan contingent on what is discussed or what, when we get into the meeting, the closed session, what comes up, to object to this closed session as opposed to having an open meeting on the work on the business of the library in Roseland, the city of Santa Rosa. And the basis of my objection is in parts, or my potential objection is in some parts. One is that the section that is relied upon in the government code, and council could be here to, or in closed session, I guess we can talk about this. Section 5, Government Code 54956.8 has a prerequisite to a closed session, and that is that there's an open public session on identifying the real properties that are involved, and the negotiators that are involved in the negotiations. I'm not aware of an action being taken in that regard, as the word action is defined in the government code. Also, that same section, that same government code section that authorizes this exemption talks about, for purposes of this section, a lease includes renewal or renegotiation of a lease. And I'm not aware of a lease that we have in place with the city of Santa Rosa that's either being renewed or renegotiated. So based on what I hear, because like on its face, I don't believe that this fits that the closed session requirements, but I'm willing to hear what we can hear from both from council and from staff in the meeting before I make the final decision to move to keep this out of closed session and move it into open meeting. That's all.
So your objection is noted. Counselor,
Yeah.
can we move ahead and into closed session, or?
Yeah, I mean, I feel comfortable with it. The council does. I just feel that what was provided in our records, in our library records, and what's provided in the on the face, what's provided in the notice of exemption doesn't conform to the requirements of of government code section 54956.8. And I'm concerned about this in general. Why? But I'm willing to hear what we're going into, is that I don't want to get involved in this and then find out that we didn't comply with that section, and then have to face the possibility of this discussion and any action taken on it of being overturned because of the violation of the Brown Act.
Great. Commissioner Foxton, did you have your hand up? Or were you just waving?
No, I wasn't just waving. Just a bit of history. I think originally we did have a lease with Santa Rosa, which lapsed and was never renegotiated or done. Now, I don't know anything about the government codes or anything like that, but it sounds to me like we're renegotiating a new lease with Santa Rosa in regards to either Central Library or Rincon Valley Library, or one of the libraries, possibly even Roseland. So I don't know what it's about yet,
right?
But history says when it comes with Santa Rosa and Central, that one I do know. Originally, I believe we had a lease, and that did lapse, and it was never renegotiated. So I don't know what the status of what this lease is about. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
Doyle, I don't want to engage in a debate about it, but I do want to make it clear. I do review the agenda.
Yes.
I am comfortable with this agenda. I believe it complies with the Brown Act. I believe listing it on the agenda is the public disclosure that's required by that government code section. That's the way every agency I've worked with operates. I've never had an issue with that. And in terms of leases, the fact that it refers to includes renegotiation is not exclusive. And it can't be. I mean, I've never heard anyone raise an issue of going into closed session to talk about a new lease. That's very clearly covered by that exception.
All right, then we are going to move into closed session.
Is there supposed to be a thing that says join the meeting in the other meeting room?
Yeah, Reese, I don't know what's happening because I have you set up to go in there and you're just not going in. So I'm working on it.
Oh, okay. I just wondered if I'd screwed up. I'm not great. There's joined. Got it.
And then Karen and Suzanne, I believe we're going to have you join once they're done with the real estate discussion.
That's right. Phil should be here shortly too.
For those keeping track, the first closed session has ended. They're into the second one.
Thank you, Ray. We're going to have Rano invite Phil and Karen and Susan.
Thanks, Ray.
Sorry, I missed that. I was taking a bio break. Can I get into the closed session, please? Thank you.
Philip, do you need to go back into the closed session? I can't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry, I can't find a button to get me into the breakout room.
There you go.
Well, beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, I think we've got all the commissioners. Everybody from staff in, Ann? Jen?
Yes, I think everyone's.
Okay. We did not take any action in the closed session pursuant to Government Code 54956.8 or and 54957.6. Which brings us to agenda item 15, items for future commission meetings. Suggestions? We've already had several, but. Go
Chair
ahead.
Doyle, I just
Yeah.
wanted to mention, I had asked, and we hadn't had time to have this happen yet, but I'd asked that we see some statistics comparing our, the last 2 years with a pre-pandemic year in terms of our circulation and that kind of thing. I think we, maybe we have, in the next month, we have an opportunity to see that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see, let me. Okay, I see no other hands. Am I missing someone? Anybody else? Okay, well, if you have additional agenda items, do get them to me or get them to Ann or get them to Jen. And otherwise, the date and time of our next meeting is going to be Monday, February 7th at 6 o'clock. Thanks, everybody. This was a long one.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And thanks, everybody, for sticking with us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Jen.